horror fans. Once again, it's the Horror Miser Monty G, and today I'm doing a special video or something I'm going to be doing every now and again. I guess you can call it a vlog or a discussion video. I really don't have a name for it yet. I'm pretty sure I'll call it something once an idea hits my head. But basically, today I'm going to talk about everyone's favorite show or favorite horror show, The Walking Dead. And basically, as far as I'm concerned, uh, I think it's time for The Walking Dead to end. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. First off, before I begin, I want to let everybody know that this is my opinion. This is what I believe what should happen to The Walking Dead is time to end. I have no insight as far as what AMC is going to be doing. I have no first-hand knowledge. This is just my opinions. What I've seen is happening with The Walking Dead and why it's time to end it. So let's go, and I'll tell you what I believe, why I think it's time to end The Walking Dead. The first thing, it's really come to fruition since the first thing that I know, the first problem is with The Walking Dead, the season's too damn long. I mean, come on, it's 16 episodes. A show like this doesn't need 16 episodes. It should only be at least 10 to 13 episodes. You have 16 episodes, you have so much stuff to cover within a 16 episode season. I'm pretty sure that was AMC's fault. I think they started this during the third or fourth season when they started to expand it, because the first season was just 6 because the show was new and they didn't know what to expect. I think the next season, season 2, was 10. If I'm wrong, correct me, let me know. And after that, it's been 16 ever since. And then they decided to split it up into 2 halves, which makes it even worse. Because all of a sudden you have a story that's building momentum, and all of a sudden you end the season on a half where you have to wait almost 3 to 4 months before you have to pick up the story. Now, I understand that's probably because of the National Football League, and it's the playoffs, and AMC doesn't want to compete with that because they know everyone's watching football at that time. So they stop it right around the, I think around the first or second week of December. And then once after the Super Bowl is over and all the football is over, then they bring it back right around February. That's really not good, especially for a show like this, because I believe it was season 3 when the governor had finally captured Daryl and Merle together, and he told them, he said, "Hey, you finally found your brother. Now here he is," and they're in Woodbury, whatchamacallit, and they're about to get ready to do this little weird thing that they do in Woodbury, where they have guys fight against zombies, and that's where the mid-season, that's where it ended off that season, and we had to wait almost 3 to 4 months before we find out what's going to happen to those 2 characters. Yeah, so spinning, yeah, it should only be, a show like this should only be 10 to 13 episodes long. You have a more cohesive storyline. You don't have filler episodes, which I will talk about later on. You can actually do some little character development and keep your focus on the main characters. So that way you get character development. So at least that way, when we do have a character, we do have a story about a specific character, at least we're invested more into it, as opposed to just like, why are they showing this episode? No one cares about this guy. Who cares about Tara? Who cares about Gabriel? I mean, why do we care about them? Where's Daryl? Where's Carol? Where's Rick? It's like, and that's one of the problems that I believe that The Walking Dead is having right now. Its season is just too long. 10 to 13 episodes for a show like this should be enough. But AMC is being greedy. Now, my next point is going to be what I just talked about. Those goddamn filler episodes. Oh, God. It boggles the mind sometimes when we're about to invest into a storyline, and all of a sudden we halt it because all of a sudden the writers believe that, hey, let's go back to this character that we haven't talked about in over 2 years, and let's do a one thing episode upon a certain character that no one really cares about. I mean, case in point, and it was really weird because it happened earlier this year when we got to the All Out War storyline. All of a sudden, I think it was the 4th or 5th episode. What do we get? We get one of these filler episodes where we get a flashback with Negan talking to his lieutenants. What do we care about Negan talking about his lieutenants? That's stupid. why we're talking about Negan talking to his attendants, because basically what the first 10 to 15 minutes was right before the season premiere, where Rick confronts Negan at the sanctuary, and he has all his people come there and they start shooting. But for some reason, the writers felt as though that we should know what Negan and his lieutenants were doing for the first 15 minutes before Rick comes there. And I'm assuming that they did it because it mostly was a Eugene-centric storyline, because they want to focus on Eugene's storyline. But again, because Eugene's really not a fully developed character on this show as opposed to comics, for some reason they felt as though, hey, let's go back and talk about Eugene after they went through at least 4 episodes into the beginning of All Out War. And that's terrible. We don't need to worry about what his lieutenants are doing. A good friend of mine, Andrew Davis, he has a YouTube channel. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below. He was talking about the same thing about filler episodes. He made a good example on his channel about Tara and Denise, about a character that for some reason they fell in love, but unfortunately, 2 episodes later, they kill off Denise. And it's like, well, why are you going to kill off a character who supposedly fell in love, but the story was never developed? And then all of a sudden, last week's episode, we see Tara trying her damnedest to kill Dwight because she killed her lover. But we don't care because The Walking Dead does what The Walking Dead does. They didn't fully develop that relationship. Now, I can see if they fully developed the relationship, then I could understand Tara's anger because I feel it. Now, of course, we don't know how the time period happens within the Walking World's Dead, but as far as the audience is concerned, it's been 2 years since that incident happened. And you're going to wait 2 years, and all of a sudden you're going to bring this episode, you're going to bring this into the storyline. It makes no sense storyline wise. And that's the problem with filler episodes and developing on characters that are not developed fully enough for us to care about. That is a huge, big problem with The Walking Dead, is focusing on characters we don't care about. By the way, does anybody know where Heath is? I guess everybody forgot about him. No, I do understand that the actor that plays Heath went on to do the show 24 Legacy. He went on to do that, but the show got canceled. So are we going to bring Heath back? He is a main focal point in the comics. But I guess for some reason, I guess I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know what the actor is going to do. That's another thing that I'll talk about later on when it comes to The Walking Dead. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with Heath. On to the next point. Now, people who are not familiar with the comic book called The Walking Dead, because that's what this show is based upon. It was created by Robert Kirkman, and AMC decided to get the rights and put his vision of this world into a TV form. Now, it seemed like everything was going right in the first and second season, even though the second season, a lot of people did not like Herschel and the farm, but it was a focal point in the comics because it transitions from there's actually Hillshire Estates, but they don't put that, they don't put that in the show. They go straight from the CCD over to Herschel's farm. And Herschel's farm is a focal point of the series, so they had to put that in the show. Because, you still have to please the people who love the comics. So that's the reason why you had it on the show. Now, unfortunately, I don't know, a lot of people did complain about it. They said as though we're not getting any action. And it did stagnate the show somewhat. But I did love the interaction between Herschel, his philosophies, and what he thought what was wrong with the people that were affected. I did like that character development. With Herschel. So Scott Glenn, who played Herschel, did a pretty good job. And I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, it did force the survivors to stay in one place. And but I did like that show. But when you're transitioning from that over to television, some of it doesn't come off very well. And I think that's one of the problems that a lot of people had with season 2. Even worse now is the fact that transitioning from the comics to the television show, especially this all-out war storyline, is not transitioning very well. I believe there's just too many characters as far as the television show is concerned. You could get away with the comic books, but unfortunately, when dealing with television, you have actors who have to get paid. They have to have screen time. You can't have them all on the set at one time. That's the reason why we have this back and forth between with some actors that we see, some actors we don't see. That's why we don't see Jeffrey Dean Morgan all the time, because they said, well, we can't have him, even though he's right now one of the most popular characters on the show, but he's not in every episode. I think it's one of the problems that they're having is transitioning the comics to the television show. Flashbacks, again, too many flashbacks. As I stated before, it's a waste of time, and it's not great storytelling because, again, you're focusing on characters that we don't care about. Right now, people are more concerned about what's going on with the all-out war storyline and how it's going to conclude. The biggest problem that I have right now is that the zombies themselves are the walkers. uh, they're no longer actually the threat that you used to be. I mean, that's supposed to be the main focal point of the show is the walkers or the zombies, but now they're not really the threat that they used to be. They're more of a bit of a distraction. Even this episode right now, where Daryl and his team are going through a swamp, and there are just some nasty looking walkers there. But all they did was just like they're wonderful. You know, it's like, oh yeah, we got walkers here, but all they did was just easily got through them and stabbed in the and whatchamacallit. They're not the threat that they used to be. I mean, you still want to have that threat of zombies, but they're no longer a threat. Now, I do like at the end of this show where Negan is going to use biological weaponry in order to affect people differently by taking the blood off the zombie and using that as a weapon. So I do like that, but unfortunately, it seems like the show is more focusing on people who want power, who want land, who want resources, as opposed to the actual threat of the zombies themselves. It seemed like the show always had dangers when they go out in the field. Eventually, it was going to be attacked by walkers, but that doesn't seem to be the focal point anymore. And I understand that this is supposed to be all-out war, and it's supposed to be the Hilltop, Alexandria, and the Kingdom against the Saviors. But there's still walkers about. I mean, come on. I mean, other than that episode that they had Negan and Father Gabriel trapped in that trailer where they were surrounded by walkers and they put zombie guts on them. But other than that, we really haven't had any real threats from the walkers, and that's not what the show should be. The show should have, even though you're in a war with the Negan and the Saviors, you still should have that threat of walkers. I mean, that's basically what the show is. On to the next point. Now, shows like this should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Writers should have at least a good 3 to 5 year storyline where they can tell their stories up probably within 3 to 5 years. You should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And a problem like this right now is that we are now on season 8, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we're on season 8. And from what I understand, there is no end in sight because, as far as AMC is concerned, despite the low ratings that I researched, I think last week's episode, it was the lowest ratings that they had, I believe, since season 1. Um, they had low ratings like this before, but as far as AMC is concerned, it's most highest rated show. It's the most popular show. As a matter of fact, from what I've read, they're going to expand on the Walking Dead universe. Not only are we going to have Fear the Walking Dead, that's still going to go on. They're going to add even more. From what I understand, they have bigger plans for this world. That I've heard that they're going to create an entire universe, uh, even expanded further than what Robert Kirkman's did on the comics, which I find fascinating. But I don't know if that's going to work. Because right now your show is stagnant, it's dull. There's no, I don't know how they're going to end this show or end this particular story arc right now. Or I don't know if they're going to do it in the same as they did in the comics. If you have not read the comics, I will not spoil it. People who read the comics, like I have, know what's going to happen at the end of the war. I know that a lot of people are also expecting to see the Whisperers come onto the show. Those are the next enemies that come in after Negan. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are looking forward to that, and I'm pretty sure that's something that might happen next year because the show has been renewed for season 9. But a show like this should only be 5 years. A great example is the reimagination of Battlestar Galactica. That show, great as it was, and it was a great show. I love that show to death too. Only lasted 4 years. Only 4 years. You had the miniseries, and then you had it for 4 years. That's because I believe it's Ronald D. Moore and his partner knew what they were doing and say, look, we're going to only do this. We have a middle and beginning and the end because there's only so much you can do with colonists flying around in a unit, flying around the galaxy trying to find Earth. And they knew that if they kept it too long, it was going to get stagnant and they're going to run out of ideas, and the show was going to piff. So the show only lasted 4 years. And I believe that's what The Walking Dead should have been. Robert Kirkman should have only had a 5 year plan. We're going to do this show for 5 years, and we'll have a beginning, a middle, and the end. Right now, I understand because I don't know what Robert Kirkman's end game is as far as the comics is concerned, but as far as the TV show is concerned, he should have an end to it because you can't continue this at this pace when you're already running out of ideas as far as what to do with these characters. And again, I think it's mainly because it's kind of hard trying to transition what he's doing in the comics as opposed to what he does on the TV show. It's just right now, it's simply just not working. Now, he could come back with a bang. All of a sudden, he could come back with an excellent storyline and finally raise the stakes up as he's supposed to have raised the stakes up so that way it gets back to what a lot of people loved about The Walking Dead, and I understand a lot of people left the show mainly because of what happened in season 7. And I understand that. Well, I myself really didn't have a problem for what happened to Glenn and Abraham because they were killed in the comics, so I didn't have a problem with it when Negan killed them. What I didn't like was the 52 fake out deaths between Glenn and I believe it was season 6, if I'm mistaken. And of course, they did it again with Daryl. Those don't work. If you're going to do it, then just do it. I understand in Robert Kirkman's defense. I understand that in this particular world, nobody is safe. None of the main cast are safe. People are going to eventually going to die in this type of environment, and no one is safe. But at least make it believable. Don't do this 52 fake out anymore. That's why a lot of people are pissed when that happened to Glenn, and of course he eventually dies in the season premiere. But like I said, I didn't have a problem with it because Negan killed Glenn in the comic books. Uh, at that particular time when this aired, Abraham was already killed by Dwight. So I really didn't have a problem, but a lot of people obviously did not like the fact that happened, and so they stopped watching the show. But in Robert Kirkman's defense, I understand why he does it, what he does, because in this type of environment, nobody is safe. None of the main cast are safe. Not even Rick is safe. But then again, he's still alive on the show. He's still alive in the show, and he's still alive in the comics. I don't know if Robert Kirkman will ever want to kill off Rick. Uh, but I know one thing: if he kills off Daryl, everyone's going to riot. So that's basically it for right now. Yeah, like I said before, I believe that, I don't know, like I said, this is just my opinion. I think it's time for them to end The Walking Dead. I know that they're going to continue it because AMC is going to milk as much as they can. I believe that's a mistake. I believe that, hey, look, even though the comic is still continuing, I think once this story arc is over, you bring in the Whispers, and then that's it. You end the show. That's it. I should, that's basically what you should do. If you want to have it to where you actually find a cure or you don't find a cure, that's fine by me. You can end it the way you want it to, but it's time to end it. Because right now, there's just too many characters we don't care about. You need to shorten the seasons up. You need to find an end to the show so that way, people can move on. Because another thing I'm hearing about, other actors are starting to From what I read, Lauren Collin, who plays Maggie, she also has a pilot that's coming up, and right now she wants to get paid more because her contract is coming up, and she has a pilot coming up that she would like to do. Now I don't know what they're going to do with her if she decides not to come back. Now it could be just deployed to get her more money because it is a pilot that doesn't have to get picked up. If the pilot doesn't get picked up, she'll come back as Maggie. Now you can really, I don't know what people are going to do with her if they decide to kill her off or to have another actress play her. I don't know what they're going to do, but that's another problem that they have with the show is actors and how long are they willing to stay on this particular show. But that's one problem that you have. But like I said before, it's just time to end it. You need to come up with a final solution. You can't continue on with this. I understand that they're trying to do world building, and right now, because it's a success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, now they think they could do the same thing with the Walking Dead and have its own universe. They want to put more shows on, more spin-offs, more one-offs. I don't know what they're going to do. I do like Fear of the Walking Dead. I actually like that better than The Walking Dead. I know some people don't like it, but I do like it. It has less characters, so you do get more character development on that show, which you don't get on The Walking Dead. And I like those characters, so I'm pretty sure that whatever mistakes that they've done on The Walking Dead, they're not doing it on Fear the Walking Dead. And we're probably going to see more. Of course, we know we will see Morgan on Fear the Walking Dead because they're finally going to cross those two shows over. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. They waited until Fear the Walking Dead had built its audience up. So I'm looking forward to see how Fear the Walking Dead is going to do. But as far as The Walking Dead is concerned, it's time to end it. It's time to end it. So, my horror fans, what do you think? Do you agree with what I've said? Do you think it's time for The Walking Dead to end? Do you think that they can actually revive the show and it comes back strong and it will continue on? Leave your comments down in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about it. Do you think it's time for The Walking Dead to end? Or do you think there's still life in the show? Once again, leave your comments down in the comment section below and tell me what you think it is time to end The Walking Dead or not. Alright, horror fans, that's my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up because, once again, it always helps the channel. But what helps the channel even more is that if this is your first time here, you know what you got to do. That's right, hit that subscriber button. Ring that notification bell. That way you can come and enjoy the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. And as always, all my social media links will be down in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember, horror rules.